Let's turn our attention now to Kenya, where the resignation of one of the country's top electoral officials is still causing ripples in the East Africa's biggest economy. Social media has been abuzz with supporters and critics after Rosalind Akombe fled the country and announced her resignation in New York. Akombe said October 26 presidential rerun poll has no chance of being free and fair. Let's now bring in the editor of Pan-African Newswire, Abayomi Azikiwe, who is now joining us via Skype to talk more about this development in Kenya. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, are you on the same page with Mrs. Akombe that of course the elections will not be free and fair?
It's going to be very difficult with all the political wrangling that's going on inside the country. Some accounts say that she is partisan, that she supports the National Super Alliance of Raila Odinga. Others are saying she's a heroine. It's a very confusing situation. We had last week Raila Odinga saying that he would not participate in the elections. However, today there were meetings scheduled between the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Wafula Chebukati, and all of the candidates. That meeting was postponed, but reports indicate that there was a meeting between Chebukati and Odinga, a 40-minute meeting earlier today. So it goes from one day to the next, very unstable situation in Kenya.
And Abayomi, how much sense in the first place would it have made if President Kenyatta went ahead to rejig the Electoral Commission after the Supreme Court's judgment?
Well, the NASA coalition wanted to essentially dismantle the Electoral Commission. This is the reason they're giving for their protest. However, at the same time, there are indications that Odinga, who is still on the ballot for the elections that are scheduled to take place a week from today, says he may still go ahead and participate under certain conditions. However, just 2 days ago, he was calling for mass demonstrations on the actual day of the elections. So his message changes almost on a daily basis. I think that he has created a lot of confusion around the whole electoral process in Kenya. These elections on August the 8th were monitored by various international agencies, including the African Union, the Common Market of East and Southern Africa, the Carter Center in the United States, and many others. Then, of course, 4 out of 6 active members of the Supreme Court nullified the election, the decision last month, requiring within 60 days that there be a rerun of the elections.
All right,
so it's caused a lot of tension inside the country.
All right, what do you think that Rosalind Akombe's resignation would do to the credibility of the new polls on the 26th of October?
It depends on which political side people are on in Kenya, as well as internationally. As I said, some people are saying that this is designed to further destabilize the electoral process inside the country, where others who tend to be supporters of the NASA coalition are saying just the opposite. But it's a very, very delicate situation. No one wants a repeat of what happened nearly 10 years ago in 2007 and 2008. Also, President Kenyatta is saying that he is not in favor of a coalition government, of bringing Odinga into the government without an electoral victory. They feel this is his objective, is to create a coalition government in Kenya.
Abayomi, I still want you to touch more on President Kenyatta's reluctance to rejig the Electoral Commission in the first place before all these crises and demonstrations broke out after the Supreme Court's judgments that flawed and faulted the election through the Electoral Commission. What do you make of President Kenyatta insisting that that same board will conduct a rerun?
Well, according to the Jubilee Party, which he heads, there was no, and in fact, two of the justices in their dissenting opinions said there was no credible evidence that any supposed irregularities had an impact on the outcome of the August 8th elections. So if you believe this reasoning, there's no reason to make major changes in the IEBC. There have been some administrative changes that have been made, but the objective of the NASA coalition was in fact to dismantle the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which the incumbent has resisted.
All right, Abayomi, we'll leave it here for now because of time. One begins to wonder, however, whether the opinion of Kenyatta's party will or should overrule that of the Supreme Court. But thank you very much for your time with us here on the News Hour.
Thank you.